Joran Wilde had stopped expecting anything new to happen in his life. His days were all the same: sunrise, soil, silence. He tended his land the way a widower tended to an empty room, with routine, not love. The house he lived in was too big for one man. The barn out back? Even bigger. A relic like him, dry wood, rusted nails, full of ghosts. 5 years had passed since he'd buried his wife under the silver birch, and not once had he touched her rocking chair or thrown away her hairbrush. He wasn't bitter. He was just still. Until that night. It started with a low hum. Too deep to be thunder. Too alive to be wind. The animals felt it before he did. His dog, Bishop, bolted under the porch. The cows pushed against the far fence. And then the sound bloomed. A scream across the sky, high and sharp and tearing through the night like a blade. The impact shook the house. Joran dropped his coffee and grabbed the shotgun off the hook by the door. He didn't think. His boots hit the mud, and he was running toward the barn before the sound even faded. But what he saw when he opened the door made the air freeze in his chest. The side wall had been blown out, scorched with black in a perfect half circle. In the center of the barn, surrounded by shattered beams and smoldering hay, stood something that could not possibly be real. She sat calmly on his old workbench, as if the explosion had been a quiet entrance. Her skin was blue, not painted, not dyed, born blue, glowing faintly under the lantern light. Her hair fell in gold rivers down her back, damp from the mist rising off her body. She wore a dark green top barely covering her chest, and matching shorts that hugged her hips like second skin. She looked like a sculpture come alive. Alien, yes, but too perfect to fear. Her eyes met his. They were bright gold, sharp as a wolf's, and unsettlingly still. "You found me," she said. Her voice wasn't synthetic. It was low, warm, like silk dragged over coals. And it wasn't just in the air, it was in his bones. He felt her voice more than heard it. Joran didn't lower the shotgun, but he didn't raise it either. "You speak English?" he asked. She tilted her head. "I speak resonance. Your language came the moment I felt your presence." "What are you?" "I'm Nyari." "That your name or your kind?" "It is what I am now." He narrowed his eyes. "What does that mean?" She slid off the bench with liquid grace and stepped toward him. Bare feet. No sound. The heat coming off her was unnatural, like she carried a fire just under her skin. "This place," she said, looking around the barn. "It's suitable. Quiet. Dry. Strong." She reached out, running a hand along the wood beam. Her fingers left a faint shimmer. "I can nest here." Joran blinked. "Nest? This structure is ideal for what I need next." Her gaze turned back to him, and there was something heavy in it, something that made him forget the gun in his hands and the wet dirt on his boots. "And what is it you need?" She stepped close. Too close. He could smell her now, sharp, clean, like frost and honey. "A mate," she said. Joran's breath caught. "I'm not part of any mating program," he snapped, taking a step back. "I don't require one," she replied softly. "I chose you. Lady, you fell out of the sky into my damn barn. I fell toward you." He didn't understand what she meant, but his hands were shaking, and it wasn't from fear. It was something deeper, something older, like her presence stirred a part of him buried since his wife's death. "You can't just walk in here and decide this is your nest," he said. "I can," she replied. "I just did." She turned from him and walked to the center of the barn. She knelt, brushing aside hay, then laid her hands on the soil. Her body pulsed faintly with light. "I will begin anchoring here." "You're not staying," he said, finally regaining his voice. "I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but this is my land." Nyari looked over her shoulder. Her expression hadn't changed, but her voice dropped. "I can leave," she said, "if that's your will." Joran didn't answer. The words died in his throat. She stood again, dusting off her hands. "I am not here to force. I am here to feel, and I feel resonance with you. What the hell is that supposed to mean?" She took a few steps toward him again, stopping just an arm's length away. "Your grief is still fresh," she said. "You think you've buried it. but I can feel its weight in the floorboards. It makes this place strong. Fertile. I didn't invite you, he whispered. I wasn't sent, she said. I escaped. He studied her face. Her golden eyes didn't flicker. She was serious. Maybe even scared. Escape what? Nyari didn't answer. She just looked around the barn again and exhaled softly. This place, it reminds me of something my kind lost a long time ago. Stillness. Heat. Hope. And then she did something he didn't expect. She sat down again, this time on the same bench, the exact same pose, but her eyes were no longer sharp. They were waiting. Let me stay for one cycle, she said. One night. If you still want me gone in the morning, I'll leave. Jordan stared at her for a long time. Bishop barked in the distance. The stars blinked through the hole in the barn wall. Finally, he lowered the shotgun. One night. Nyari smiled. Not like a human. Like a creature and used to emotion, testing how it felt on her skin. That is enough, she said. And in the soft glow of broken wood and alien light, Jordan Wild walked out of the barn not knowing that everything, had already changed. Jordan didn't sleep that night. He sat at the edge of his bed, boots still on, staring through the open window at the faint blue glow spilling from a barn. It pulsed, soft and slow like a heartbeat. His barn had never breathed before. It had never whispered to him in silence. But tonight it did. The air felt heavier now. Not dangerous. Just expectant. Something had changed, and the land itself seemed to know it. He found himself standing up, slowly, without thinking, and walking back toward the barn through the wet grass. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't curious either. He just felt pulled, like a rope had been tied around his ribs and was gently tugging him back to her. The barn door creaked when he opened it. Nyari was still there. She hadn't moved from the bench, but she wasn't sitting like before. Her legs were drawn up, arms wrapped around her knees. Her long blonde hair fell over one shoulder, and her glowing golden eyes were half closed. She looked small. Couldn't sleep either? He asked quietly. Her eyes fluttered open. Your mind was loud, she whispered, full of question and heat. You can hear my thoughts? Only the ones your body agrees with. He took a few steps inside, boots clicking softly on the wood. The light coming from her skin cast shifting shadows across the beams. You're glowing more than earlier. That's because I'm near you again. She stood now, slower than before, and walked toward him. When we're close, my body responds. It prepares. For what? For alignment. She reached him and stopped just inches away. This time, she didn't touch him. She let the silence speak. Jordan didn't know whether to step back or closer. He didn't understand what she was doing to him. It wasn't just her beauty. It was the way she looked at him. Not like a stranger, not even like a woman looking at a man, but like a soul recognizing something ancient and aching in another. Are you manipulating me? He asked, voice tight. No, she whispered. I'm answering you. He shook his head. I'm not asking anything. Your words lie, she said gently, but your chest, it begs. Your hands ache to hold again. Your lips remember the warmth they lost. His throat dried. Stop that. She didn't smile. I will, if you truly want me to. The way she said it, no threat, no seduction, made it harder to breathe. She reached out, but still didn't touch. Her hand hovered near his chest, just above his heart. My people evolved beyond mating rituals. We share energy, essence. The bond forms not through skin, but sensation. But when I entered your presence, something changed. My body asked for yours. Jordan swallowed. She looked down now, her voice quieter. I don't understand it all. This vulnerability, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I was only meant to find safety, to hide. But when I saw you, something inside me chose. Chose what? You, she said, and then she touched him. Only her fingertips, just over the sternum. But the effect was electric. His chest tightened. His spine lit up with sensation. Not pain, not even arousal, something stranger, something primal. You feel it, she whispered. He did. She placed her other hand on the side of his neck, thumb tracing along his pulse. This is not seduction, she said. It is alignment. It is how we survive. I'm not some tool, he said, voice trembling. You're not, she agreed. You're something I didn't know existed. Willing resonance. Emotional capacity combined with strength. And pain. Her hand lowered. She placed her palm against his stomach, then moved it slowly up his chest until it rested against the side of his neck again. Let me touch the sadness, she said. Let me use it to build something new. He didn't remember leaning forward, but his lips were against hers now, and she opened like a tide rolling back. Her kiss was slow, unsure, like she was mimicking what she'd seen in his mind. He tasted something cool, sweet. Her body trembled beneath his hands. And when he pulled her against him, her skin pulsed, light running along her arms like liquid fire. Their bodies didn't collide. They connected. She wrapped her legs around his waist as he sat down on the bench, pulling her onto his lap. She moved like someone discovering herself for the first time, curious, cautious, hungry. And beneath that hunger was something softer. She pressed her forehead against his as they breathed together in silence. I don't want to take, she whispered. I want to be given. He nodded and gave, not just body, but ache, loss. Every moment he had buried since the death of his wife. Every tear he never cried. Every night he slept with a pillow that smelled like memory. She took all of it, not to erase, but to hold. And in return, she gave him warmth. Pressure. Light. They didn't move fast. Their rhythm was not human. It was slow, deep, synchronized. Her breath matched his. Her light faded and flared with each heartbeat. Time broke. He didn't know if it lasted minutes or hours. When they were done, she didn't pull away. She curled into his chest, her hand resting against his heart. This is what home feels like, she said softly. I have forgotten. Joran ran a hand through her soft golden hair. I didn't forget, he whispered. I just stopped believing it could happen again. The night passed silently, and neither of them slept. Just before dawn, she sat up slowly. Her eyes had changed, softer, but deeper. Her glow dimmed slightly, like something inside her had shifted. I'm anchored now, she said. What does that mean? My body will begin preparing. For what? She didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, for what we created tonight. Joran's eyes widened. There was no seed, no blood, no science, she said. Just resonance. He didn't understand. But when she stood and walked barefoot across the floor, her presence left trails of faint green light behind her. She knelt in the hay and placed both hands on the dirt. Her eyes closed. Something hummed. And in the center of the barn, the hay trembled. Something new had begun. The morning sun had barely begun to warm the fields, but the inside of the barn felt alive, not just from the heat trapped in old wood, but from something humming beneath the surface, something breathing through the walls, vibrating faintly in the beams, whispering in the hay. Joran stood at the edge of it all, shirt clinging to his skin, unsure if he was watching a miracle or losing his mind. Nyari was on her knees in the center of the barn, her hands planted against the earth. Her long golden hair cascaded around her shoulders like light in motion. The soft green shimmer in her skin had grown stronger. She wasn't glowing anymore. She was radiating. He didn't speak. He didn't dare. She finally opened her eyes and looked at him, calm, deep, like a still lake under moonlight. I'm synced now, she said softly. With what? He asked. With you. With this place. With what we made. Joran stepped closer. You said something started last night. It did, she whispered, the moment we aligned. He swallowed hard, heart still trying to believe this wasn't some grief-induced fantasy. What exactly does that mean? She stood slowly, barefoot, her body moving with a smoothness that made the air ripple around her. In my species, mating is more than pleasure. It's transmission, exchange. My body reads yours, absorbs your emotional patterns. If the bond is deep enough, it transforms us both. You think I transformed you? She took one step toward him, then another. I don't think, she murmured. I feel. When she reached him, she placed her hands on either side of his face, palms warm, thumbs brushing his temples. I feel your ache, she said. Not as a wound, but as a root. Something ancient. Something lonely. He closed his eyes for a second. Her touch wasn't forceful. It was grounding, calming, and terrifying. You're not supposed to be real, he whispered. She leaned forward, her forehead touching his. Neither are second chances. Joran felt his breath shake. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And yet here we are. You, me, and something waiting to hatch. He opened his eyes. Hatch! But instead of answering, she kissed him. It wasn't like before. This kiss was deeper, slower, more claiming than curious. Her lips moved with intent, not exploration. Her body pressed against his, not just for sensation, but for certainty. She was choosing him. And he let her. He kissed her back, arms wrapping around her waist, drawing her into him like she belonged there. When they broke apart, her eyes glowed brighter. I need to be close, she whispered. All the time. Your body soothes mine. It balances my energy. So you're saying I'm what? A charger? She gave a soft, breathy laugh, and it rolled down his spine like warm honey. No, you're my bondmate now. You're not just needed. You're woven into me. The word sat between them like thunder. Bondmate, not lover, not partner. Something older, something primal. Joran ran a hand through his hair, trying to breathe. I'm not sure I'm built for this, he muttered. You're stronger than you know, she said. Then she reached down and guided his hand, not to her chest, not to her thigh, but to her stomach. Her skin was hot. Her pulse ran deep under the surface. He felt it, a rhythm, a second heartbeat. What is that? He whispered. The echo of you, she said. He snatched his hand back, stunned. That's not possible. With your kind, no. But I don't grow life the way humans do. There's no pregnancy, no division of cells. It's energy first, emotion second, form comes last. He stumbled back, shaking his head. You're telling me you're carrying something inside you already? I'm carrying the spark, she said. If it holds, it will externalize, crystallize into life. It won't stay inside me. It will find space, somewhere safe, somewhere like... She paused, eyes scanning the barn here. Joran stared at the floorboards beneath them. I don't understand half of this. You don't have to, she said gently. You just have to feel it. You already do. He looked at her again, this radiant being who had crashed into his quiet life, sat on his bench, and kissed him like she'd been waiting across galaxies to find him. He wanted to resist. He tried to, but her presence softened the sharp edges in his soul, the ones grief had left behind. I don't know what happens next, he said. She smiled, brushing her fingertips along his jaw. Neither do I. That's why I want it with you. They sat together in silence for a while. No need to speak. No rush. Just skin against skin, heartbeat against breath. Then she leaned close again, her voice low, sultry, and vulnerable all at once. There's one more step. He turned to her. What? My kind, we imprint fully when skin touches without hesitation. Not out of instinct, not out of ritual, but out of desire. She stood and extended her hand. This will make the bond permanent. It will anchor me to you. And if I'm anchored, she looked around the barn, eyes soft, so will the offspring. Joran stared at her hand. Every part of him screamed for caution, for distance. But another part, something older, something human, ached for meaning. He took her hand. She pulled him gently, no force, no urgency, just warmth, just permission. They laid together in the hay, beneath the beam she had claimed as her nest. And there, in the silence of the early morning, skin against skin, he gave himself to her, completely, not out of obligation, but out of want. By the time the sun was high above the fields, neither of them moved. Her skin had cooled to a gentle glow. Her breathing was shallow and peaceful. His arm was wrapped around her waist, fingers brushing the outline of her stomach, where a quiet hum now pulsed steadily beneath her skin. He didn't need to understand the science. He felt it, and so did she. This was no longer just a farm. It was a nest, and the bond had begun Joran awoke to silence. Not the kind he was used to. The silence of an empty house. The silence of grief. But something deeper. More alive. It was a hush of something sacred. Like a breath held by the world itself. He shifted slowly in the hay, his arms still wrapped around Nyari's waist. Her skin was warm beneath his fingers, and the faint glow that pulsed through her body had changed. It was stronger now, steadier. She was watching him, golden eyes soft and unreadable. "Something's different," he said, voice rough with sleep. Nyari nodded. "The resonance has settled. The energy you gave me has taken root." Joran pushed himself upright. "You mean it worked?" She sat up beside him, running her hand gently across her lower stomach. "The spark has grown. It's ready to find form." He stared at her, then at the space around them. The barn looked the same, but something in the air had changed. It smelled sweeter, denser, like spring earth after the first rain. "What happens now?" he asked. Nyari stood, bare feet brushing against the wooden floor like they were made for it. "Now I build the cradle." She walked to the center of the barn where she'd knelt the night before. This time, she didn't kneel. She simply extended her arms. The ground beneath her shimmered. Joran blinked. Hay shifted. Dust danced in spirals. The temperature rose slightly, like a heartbeat warming the room. And then he saw it. A small orb began to form in the hay, perfectly round, smooth, softly glowing. It looked like an egg. "What the hell?" Nyari turned to him, her eyes glinting with quiet reverence. "This is the first." He stepped closer. "First what?" "First life node," she said, "born from our bond. It holds your emotional imprint, my biology, and the resonance between us." He stared at it. "That came from us?" "Yes. I didn't even—" "You gave me your grief," she whispered. "Your want, your hands, your breath. That's all I needed." He crouched slowly before the orb, careful not to touch it. It pulsed faintly. "Not like light. Like breath. You sure this thing is alive?" "It's not alive yet," Nyari said, stepping beside him. "But it's becoming. It will grow with the warmth of this space, with the hum of your voice, with how you treat the land that made you." More light shimmered around her skin now, tiny ripples of energy dancing across her arms like starlight crawling under her skin. Joran stood up, staring at her. "How many of these are going to appear?" Nyari's expression softened. "As many as our bond can sustain." He frowned. "Is that 1, 2, 10? She smiled faintly. "I don't know. We've never bonded with humans before." Before he could respond, she closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. The ground pulsed again. Another egg formed. This one slightly smaller. Different glow, but just as strange, just as alien, just as impossible. Joran took a shaky step back. "You're multiplying." "I'm responding," she corrected. "To you. I didn't even touch you this time." She opened her eyes. "You didn't have to. You're in me now. Every word you say, every look you give me, my body reads it, feeds on it, translates it into creation." He stared at her for a long time. "That doesn't scare you?" She tilted her head slightly. "Does it scare you?" He looked down at the two softly glowing eggs. They pulsed in time with each other now, almost like they were breathing together. Then he looked back at her, this strange, beautiful creature who had torn to the sky and landed not just in his barn, but in his life. "I don't know what scares me more," he said softly, "that this is happening or that it doesn't feel wrong." She stepped close, placing a hand over his chest again. Her skin still radiated warmth, but there was something else now. Calm, grounding. "You're not afraid," she whispered. "You're just waking up." "To what?" "To what it means to matter again." The words hit him harder than they should have. He turned away, breathing slow and deep, trying to gather himself. Behind him, a faint cracking sound echoed. He spun around. A third orb was forming, this one larger than the others, glowing pale blue like her skin. "They're coming fast now," he muttered. Nyari didn't look concerned. "My body is efficient. When it's safe, it doesn't wait." "You're calling this safe?" She smiled. You haven't pushed me away. Joran exhaled slowly. No, he hadn't. And he couldn't. He looked at the barn, his old, weather-worn barn, now glowing with alien eggs that pulsed with something that felt frighteningly close to hope. What do I even do with these? He asked. Talk to them, she said. What? They're formed by emotion. Sound stabilizes them. Rhythm helps them shape. He stared at her. You want me to talk to your eggs? Our eggs, she said. And yes, they will know your voice before they know light. Joran looked down again. The 3 eggs sat in a soft triangular nest of hay, humming faintly like they were waiting. He knelt, cleared his throat, and said the only thing that came to mind. Hey there. The largest one pulsed brighter. He blinked. That means something? They hear you, Nyari said softly. He ran a hand over his face, half in disbelief. Do they hatch? He asked. She walked closer and knelt beside him. When they're ready, when they feel love, when the bond is full. He looked over at her. And what if I'm not ready? She didn't flinch. Then they will wait. The barn was silent again, but this silence was fuller now, no longer empty. It was the quiet that comes before becoming. And Joran Wild, for the first time in years, felt something stir in his chest that he thought had long since died. He felt protective. He felt needed. He felt alive. The 4th egg had just finished pulsing into stillness when the sky cracked open again. But this time, it wasn't a soft hum or distant echo. It was a thunderclap of power, bright, blinding, and not of this world. The clouds split in silence. A sharp spear of white light punched through the sky and hit the field just beyond the barn. Joran ran to the open doors, shotgun in hand out of instinct, but it felt more like a twig than a weapon now. Outside, a vessel hovered above the wheat. Sleek, silver-black, silent. It made no noise, no sound of wind, no roar of descent. Just stillness. Too still. Then a voice rang out, not in sound, but inside his mind. We have come to retrieve Subject 77A. Stand aside, Earth Native. Joran stepped out fully now, shielding his eyes. Nyari! He shouted back toward the barn. She was already behind him, barefoot on the wooden floor, eyes glowing brighter than ever before. It's them, she whispered. Who? My origin cast, she said. They don't believe in bonds. They see me as property, a tool. The moment I resonated with you, I became defective. Defective? He barked. You're carrying our children. To them, that's contamination, she said softly. They'll want to erase all of this, including you. She moved forward, placing herself beside him, shoulder to shoulder. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't running. The voice came again, more urgent. Step away from the hybrid-bearing subject, or you will be neutralized. Joran cocked the shotgun. You're going to have to explain what neutralize means to a guy who still milks cows by hand. You won't win a war, Nyari said, touching his arm gently. I don't care about war, he said. I care about you, about those eggs, this barn, this life. He took a step forward into field. The ship reacted instantly. 3 humanoid figures beamed down. In a flash of white, they stood taller than him, clad in smooth armor that shimmered in the sun like liquid metal. No visible weapons, but their eyes glowed bright white, devoid of pupils. Cold, calculating. The center one spoke aloud this time. You form an unauthorized reproductive bond with our experimental bioscion. She belongs to the high nest of Tyrol Prime. She doesn't belong to anyone, Joran said calmly. She chose. She is defective. She's a mother, Joran replied. You are unqualified. The being snapped. You lack telepathic calibration, genetic enhancement, ancestral memory, and caste authorization. I've got one thing you don't, Joran said, lowering the shotgun slightly. Heart. Silence. The alien's head tilted slightly. Irrelevant. Behind them, the barn door creaked. A soft glow began to spill out, not from Nyari now, but from the eggs. One of them pulsed brighter. Then another. And then, crack. The first shell split. A small, soft hand reached out from inside. Nyari gasped. They're coming. The aliens turned, alarmed. "You've triggered premature emergence," one said. "This environment is unstable for hatchlings." "They don't care," she whispered. "They feel danger. They want to protect their bondfather." The egg split open fully. The creature inside was no monster, no threat, just a tiny blue-skinned infant with golden eyes like fireflies, blinking slowly in the sunlight. It looked toward the field and screamed, not out of fear, out of defense. The scream hit the invaders like a shockwave, invisible, soundless, but devastating. All three staggered. One dropped to a knee, clutching their temple. Another egg cracked. Then another. More tiny beings crawled forward, not walking, not running, floating, their energy rippling like magnetic fields. The air pulsed again. Joran stared in awe. "Your kids," he muttered, "are terrifying." "They're mine," Nyari whispered, stepping beside him, tears in her glowing eyes. "They're ours." The invaders began retreating slowly, muttering to themselves in a language Joran couldn't decipher. But the message was clear. They hadn't expected resistance. They hadn't expected protection. And they sure as hell hadn't expected love. The Central One looked back once more. "This anomaly will be reported. You may be left alone for now." Then they vanished. Instantly, the ship blinked upward like a ghost swallowed by the clouds. Silence returned. Joran turned to Nyari, heart pounding. "They're gone," he said. "Just like that." She nodded, slowly falling to her knees beside the newborns. "They can't fight resonance this strong. They'll report it. But this place," she looked around, her voice trembling, "this place is now marked. Chosen." He crouched beside her. The first hatchling blinked up at him and smiled. Tiny hands reached toward his face. He lifted the child gently, felt its warmth, its pulse, half alien, half him, and something primal rose in his chest. Something whole. He looked back at the barn. The glow had settled. The air no longer buzzed with fear. Just warmth. "You still want to call this a nest?" he asked softly. Nyari smiled. "No." He looked at her, confused. "I want to call home now." That night, as the stars settled over the fields, Joran stood in the doorway of the barn, now filled with soft light, hay nests, and sleeping newborns. Nyari stepped beside him, sliding her fingers into his. "You never ran," she said. "Couldn't," he replied. "They weren't just your kids. Not anymore." She leaned into his shoulder. "Then neither am I just your guest." He kissed her temple, pulled her closer. "You're mine.